Hello, welcome guys. Thanks for watching and tuning in. Today we're here in the Sendcloud studio and we're going to talk about Return Gameplan. So welcome Karel, welcome Jeroen. I will briefly give you the stage to introduce yourself. And today we're going to talk about proven return strategies to maximize profits and to minimize disruptions. As you know, I think returns are still a big topic, big challenge, and like back in the days, the returns have to have a very long return period. They have to be free, but now we see a tendency where returns become more transparent. We see the bigger brands are even asking return money and a refund for it. And I think that's the biggest change, right? People become more transparent. They are more aware of the way they consume. So people become a bit more sustainable. I think the greatest example, I think we spoke about it, Karel, a few days ago, about Weekamp. It's the biggest retailer here in the Netherlands. And they ask now 50 cents for return, and we see that people do less returning. In 1 year, they saw dropping with 14%, and that makes people a bit more aware of the amounts of we consume, right? So they also saw that fitting room behavior where people just order multiple sizes, and I think people become now a bit more aware, and people can be a bit more straightforward about their policy. And I think Bouncewear also has a good example of that. But welcome, guys. Karel, Shopify AC in Antwerp.
Thank you, Nick, for the introduction and having us here. I'm Karel, co-founder of Radikal. We're an Antwerp-based Shopify Plus agency, and we focus mostly on Belgian brands, bringing them to Shopify and building their ecosystem around it.
Yeah.
And Jeroen is one of our clients, so happy to work with him.
Yeah, before we go to Jeroen, I heard you were first a customer from Jeroen at Bouncewear because you also play basketball.
Yeah, actually it is. I used to play basketball for quite a long time, and I was a customer at Bouncewear for my basketball stuff. So that's, I think, the first steps that we took to work together is like being a customer there.
Yeah, that's a good story.
He still is a customer.
You're still, both.
Maybe his wife doesn't know, but he still buys from us. So
occasionally I buy a few.
Via Klarna then.
Some sneakers.
Yeah, over to Jeroen, because you are coming from the basketball area, right? As a coach, you are now more than 6 years at Bouncewear, and please tell us more about Bouncewear because the story becomes bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah. So Bouncewear is a basketball specialist. We're right now all over Europe. So we're in Belgium, France, Luxembourg, Spain, UK, and Germany. We have over 13 stores, I'm about to say 15, but that's what's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So we focus on the basketball player performance side of that story and the lifestyle part of it, because that's connected with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And me personally, I'm, like you said, I'm at Bouncewear for over 6 years now. I'm the brand and digital manager over there. So I'm responsible for everything that happens e-commerce wise, online marketing, you name it, a lot of stuff.
So it became quite big, right? Because I heard something about the Bounce Club even, right? So it's more than a brand, it's more becoming a community at the moment.
I think we focus a lot on community because we think it's very relevant, to focus on the local basketball player.
Yeah.
So if we have a store in Valencia, then we have the feeling that we should be very much involved in local basketball, and that's what we try to do everywhere we go. That makes it interesting for us to know how it works in every single region.
Yeah, that's something we're coming back to in the story, because I think using local heroes, I think also on the return and carrier side, can be very critical if you're successful or not. But let's park that for now. I just want to briefly introduce, because I think that's always the biggest topic around returns. Should it be free? Should it be paid? What is your vision from like an agency expert perspective?
There's a lot to say about this, of course. I think you have to look at the context. As a first-time customer with a brand, if you're going to ask them for a paid return, the chance of them becoming a lifetime customer, small. So maybe think about when to introduce paid shipping.
Yeah.
Of course, also people buying multiple sizes. I think in the Netherlands it's more a habit than in Belgium. I don't know why, but it seems to be something
You're a bit
geographical.
greedy. Yeah, maybe.
No. There's something to say, like maybe VIP tiers, they get free returns. So I think you need to look into a way what fits your brand.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on like fair usage. Maybe you can do 1 or 2 returns for free, but if you go up for it, then you do 3 or 4 or 5 returns. It's not profitable for a brand, so it might be interesting to ask them for money. Or I think there's a lot of context where you need to look at before you make decisions.
Yeah, so you say it's very nuanced, and also like high repeating return customers are less profitable, and there you can maybe introduce a paid return. So it's based on the brand and on the customer you have in front of you.
Yeah, you can look at the customer lifetime value. If a customer spends 200 euros, he buys 4 orders or something, and he returns always 75% of his orders. Are you still making money on that customer or not?
Yeah.
And I think there, of course, you can't. It's not black and white, but I think if you're going into bigger order volumes, larger order volumes, it makes sense to look into those analytics and see when is the cutoff moment, when do we need to shift our strategy for those type of customers.
You really need to take a deep dive, right, in order to understand it. How do you look at that from like a brand perspective, like free returns, paid returns?
If you look at the company perspective, then mainly the conversation is about margins. So if you don't want to cut into all the margin, then you need to have a clear overview of, okay, this is how we handle our returns.
Yeah.
And, for us at Bouncewear, it's from order 1 until order 20, it's paid returns, just to be very transparent.
Yeah. Did you start it differently? Like, did you start it maybe from a free perspective, and now you?
No, well, we might do it every now and then, like a special occasion, free returns, but in general, it's been like this for the last 7 years. And we do know that it might cut into a little bit of the conversion percentage, but that doesn't weigh up to all the returns we might be getting when it's free returns.
I think the conclusion is like, hey, there always should be a proper mix, and you should be transparent.
Yeah, and there's new stuff coming on, like Shopify added store credits this year to the options, so this could be something to look into. Okay, you get a free return if we can give you store credits. If you want the cash back, then it's a paid return, or if you want to return it after 14 or 13 days, then we only do store credits. So there's a lot of like things you can think about.
Yeah, store credits can be interesting, right?
The money stays within on the brand side, and I think that's interesting. And as a customer, you can. I even saw like cases more not in the Belgian market, but I think more UK market, where they even given 110 euro instead of 100 euro store credits when you choose that option. So
you get even rewarded.
Some more value.
And
I think
that's interesting to maybe reward good behavior, right? Instead of saying, hey, you get punished.
On a customer retention based, it makes sense to do it like that, because acquiring a new customer also costs money. So there's where's the spin-off?
Hey, and guys, besides the cost, what are other critical? What are critical elements besides cost in the return policy these days, and where do you see the shift?
Well, I think for one, I mean, a return needs to be handled mostly manually by somebody at the companies. Every return that we, for example, get in gets checked if it's worn or if it's still sellable and stuff like that. So there's some work involved that needs to be paid for as well. Also part of the cost, obviously, but if we look at what we're trying to do, be more sustainable, because that's what everybody keeps talking about and wants to do, then avoiding returns in some kind of way helps to be more sustainable as a company. And I think Karel mentioned it already, that you see different customer behavior in different regions.
Do you have an example of that?
Yeah, I mean, if we get a order of a, let's say, basketball shoe size 42 and a half, 99% is going to be somebody out of, no offense, Holland. And
I don't take it personal.
No, but it's, I mean, I can bet my money on that, and then we know that one of them is coming back. and that's something that we try to avoid as much as possible. And that's, I mean, trying to inform the consumer as well to avoid them having to ship something back, because it's not the nicest procedure for them either. Even if you make it as easy as possible, it's still, they need to wait for their on their product, and that's something that
Do
we
you
try
have
to avoid.
any tips or insights to, you're talking about like avoiding? What do you do as a brand to?
Well, there's multiple things obviously we do. I mean, in store it's fairly easy because you try on shoes, but we want to try to emulate a little bit that on the online side as well. So we included customer reviews on performance footwear, because for performance footwear it's very important that it's the right size. If you buy a lifestyle shoe, name it Air Force
it has
One.
to be perfect.
Air Force One, if it's a half size up, then I mean, you have it, you don't want to send it back, then it's okay. But if it's a shoe that you play sports in, then it really needs to fit. And it's not only about the length of the shoe, but how wide it is and stuff like that. It's proven to help for potential consumers, that they know, okay, I need to take a half size up or one size up. And of course, we do analyze our returns as well. And if we see a lot of returns on the same product, then it's something that we will include in the product description, that you can clearly see, okay, size range is a little bit off on this model, please take a half size up, for example.
So you use the customer voice to enlighten new customers, but also to inform them to avoid returns.
Sometimes it's information that we have up front because of store personnel saying they try on shoes and they say, hey, this size is a little bit different. So just to avoid returns and loyal customers just buying blindly their size, we try to inform them as much as possible in different type of ways.
So providing the right information at the right spot, but also sustainability becoming critical elements from the Bouncewear perspective.
Sure.
What do you think, besides those arguments like paid versus free returns, but also sustainability, what do you think is important and critical for customers if you look at the return process?
A smooth process. Like if you buy a size 42, but you see it's too small, you really want a 43. Do you want to, and then what's the process to handle this? Are you able as a brand to offer exchanges? You go to return portal, you select a product you want to return, and you say the sizing is off, and then you can show the option you want to change this into another size, and you don't pay anything, but you can ship it back with the label you receive, but you also automatically get the right size sent to you. I think this is a part where a lot of brands fail today, because they don't have a good procedure for this. Also accounting wise, it's not only logistics, but there's multiple assets to look into and to fix. Offering this smooth experience will give a lot of like credibility to the customer, and make them a happy customer.
Is this something you do, what Karel said, offering exchanges in a digital seamless way?
I think I 100% agree with Karel that it has to be as smooth as possible, obviously. So we do use an extra tool on returns, Returnless, which I think I'm allowed to say. We combine it with Sendcloud. And this makes it a smooth return process. So there's multiple options that you can choose. I want to return through this carrier or this carrier. That's where Sendcloud comes in. And they get the label sent to them. So it's very, very easy to choose whatever they want. I want an exchange. I want a refund. I want store credit, for example. One of the options that we recently added is return in store. So if you live close to a store, that you can easily return it, and that has an upside as well.
I think that's very interesting. Besides exchanges, I think the overall goal is to become as flexible as possible, right? But being straightforward and transparent. And flexibility also means like, hey, can you offer your customers a different way to give the return, right? So using physical stores, I know Bouncewear has 13, 14 stores. How do you leverage your physical location, and which impact do you see?
Well, the good thing of somebody who takes or who puts the effort in to come to the store with a return, the idea is that they should leave with the right product, obviously, because there's plenty of stock there. There's a salesperson who can guide you, who can help you with sizing and different things, and maybe there's some upsell possibilities as well. So every person that enters the store, we try to have them walk out with some kind of product, and this is the same with somebody that returns a product. So trying to somewhat negative turn it around to a positive experience.
Having that customer in the store, I think, is very valuable, right? Because you will get feedback you otherwise maybe not had received. You can add additional questions. But I get your point, but I'm also interested to Karel's story about how do you approach this from like a technical perspective? Because where's the technique and the stack to determine like here is this is the store we're gonna offer as a return location. I think in Shopify there is something called
they have some self-service. Shopify Markets. You have the service return service options, of course, out of the box from Shopify. They're good, but they're basic, so you can't like customize and add the things Jeroen mentions, the options you want to provide, like store credits, etc. So if you want to go a bit more advanced, there's a lot of apps available. Returnless is one of them. Sendcloud has a return portal, and there's multiple other options. How we look at this with a brand is like, what is your ideal solution? How would you like the process to be? And then we're gonna look at market solutions and choose the one that fits the brand the best, probably, or that we know that has good integrations, which often is also very valuable.
But the intelligence is within Shopify and the surrounding apps like Sendcloud, because I think you build a solution and a logic where you can say, hey, this is the best location and the best carrier. Because that's the little bridge I want to make, like besides the technique, and from a customer perspective, I think the operational perspective is also very important and critical. Working with local heroes, not from like a basketball icon perspective, but also from the logistical side.
I think.
How do you do this? And
I think Sendcloud comes in perfectly on that part. If you want to return something in Belgium, I would advise bpost. But because they're pretty
Is that a personal thing, or is
it's not personal. I don't have shares there. But I think in Belgium they have a pretty good saturation on an organization there. But for other countries, I would look into more local carriers indeed. I wouldn't use bpost when I do returns in France, for example. So I think there it's good that you can give them the option to use a local carrier, and that's what we did with Bouncewear and Sendcloud, where in France we use another Sendcloud account to provide French rules and options for the customers.
How critical is that local hero for you from a carrier perspective? Because you are doing this in Spain and France, I think, and you also made some changes along the way, right? Can you tell us more about that?
Well, I think the good thing now is that we have multiple options. So let's say there's issues with UPS, for example, then we can always shift to something else and still make sure that our packages are being delivered. But in general, it's very regional to look into, okay, who's the main carrier in this country? What is the easiest for the consumer, and what is the easiest for our store personnel? Because one detail that's important mentioning for Bouncewear is that we ship out of our stores, so not out of a central warehouse. So depending on where its stock is coming from, that's going to decide somewhat or in some kind of way which carrier is being used. And the return process is exactly the same. And then the customer can decide, okay, we limit it, of course. So we know that it's a good carrier that we're sure that delivers, for example.
And that determination of that good carrier, is that also coming from the feedback from the customer, or are you guys looking at specific data? Because I know Bouncewear shifted from DPD in Spain to Correos.
Well,
Why did you do that?
it's a little bit the experience also of our store staff. In general, they live in that area, so they know a little bit already, and they're consumers as well, obviously. But also if you receive deliveries every single day and you build a relationship with your local carrier, and it's a lot of times it's the same person delivering at that door. That helps as well, and we take that into account, and that makes it easy to shift from one to the other.
Yeah, and the impact then on the customer satisfaction, did you really saw maybe bad reviews, negative reviews, not to name a specific carrier, but just...
Well, in France, for example, yes.
Yeah.
And then we shifted. We did things differently, not to name any carrier, but that carrier, for example, is in another country very good. It's very highly ranked. So it all depends a little bit.
Yeah. What is now the setup? To just name some carriers, but not from a negative. bpost in Belgium?
Yeah, I do not have any shares either, but I do use. We do use bpost because it's the easiest. Pricing is good. Returns are very easy. But when it comes to the rest of Europe, it's mainly UPS. We do some DPD in the UK, for example. We do Correos in Spain. So
4 or 5 carriers you use.
Yeah.
How do you deal that from like a volume perspective? Because it's quite hard maybe to split 2,000 orders per month over 5, 6, 7 carriers. That's always the challenge we see going international. How do you make your decisions? But the volume split is...
Well, for us, it's based on regions. I mean, the volume in general is split anyway because it's shipped out of stores. So it's divided by 14 stores, for example. Based on the region, that's how we make the decision. So for now, there's rules in place that for Spain it's going to be Correos, and in France it's going to be UPS.
How do you think lead times will and the speed of the delivery will influence the return process? How impactful is that?
Good question. I think it's what does the customer expect? I think and that's also geographical differently. I think in Belgium and Netherlands we're quite spoiled. We want next day delivery, so we always also want next day return probably, or 2 days maybe. But in a country where you have like 5 days delivery or 10 working days, I think when you return something, you also are okay with it taking 10 days. So I think you can look at both ways. It won't differ that much. That's a bit how what I think is like customer expectation. I think giving their money back, that's probably what they want. There's also a lot of solutions in the market. There's even return solutions that immediately give the money back. Once you like apply for a return, they immediately give the money back. Of course, you're going to pay an extra fee because they're going to be accountable for getting the money back. So you get, somebody's making money somewhere or has to make some. No, we just implement. But I think, and also like fraud, I don't know if you guys have a lot of fraudulent returns or like, and how do you handle them?
Yeah, I mean, there's different stuff happening all the time, of course, but one of the main things is just taping the shoebox, for example. I mean, people think, oh, it's already in the box, let's just wrap tape around it, but I mean, you're never going to be able to use that box again for another customer. So we try to let's say inform the consumer. I mean, there's leaflets in every single order that explains how a return needs to be done. Try to make it as easy and transparent as possible. To avoid stuff like that, but it still happens, small percentage.
How is Bouncewear dealing with refunds?
What we tend to have is let's say a 14-day after delivery period where you can do the easy refund, where it's possible to refund. And since we're that much into, let's say, the performance market, you should have plenty of time to try on the shoes, see if they fit, decide on, okay, I want to keep this product or not. It's a little bit different in the holidays because delivery times are longer. Maybe they buy something up front and they hand it over to a family member later on. So we extend that period a little bit during the holidays, for example. Let's say beginning of the basketball season, which is August, September, then we know that, okay, if somebody buys something and he wants to return it, we're going to know after 2 to 3 days after delivery for sure. That's
That's what you told me once, right? Because you're in such a niche that people just wear it instantly, and if they don't come return, they already played two, three games on the shoes, right?
Yeah.
If we zoom deeper into the operational part and also tapping into return on investment, because I think it's good that we look at things from a customer perspective and customer expectation, customer satisfaction, but I think it's also important for brands to learn and understand but how can I look at return on investment if I'm gonna maybe invest in solutions like Sendcloud, like Returnless, like Shopify. How does that look like at Bouncewear? And also at the way you reduce time and cost in handling all those returns.
Yeah, I think that's a major factor. What we have in place now, being Returnless and Sendcloud, offers us the possibility to follow up really easily. I mean, even when a return is on its way, then we know that it's coming. We know when it's coming. So the operational time that we need to invest in a return is way less than, I'm going to say, manual returns. That what we did like 7 years ago was somebody emailing, "Hey, I want to return this. How do I proceed?" And then it was case per case. Well, now there's a portal where everything is, let's say, automated.
It's fully digital, right?
Yeah.
You never use the return label in the box.
That's an option as well. So the customer can decide.
Do you see differences in that, in handling the return internally in the process?
No, I don't think that makes a major difference. I mean, but the tech stack we use now just makes it easier for our customer support to follow up on returns. Big part of the questions that you receive is, I want to return something. That's one, and then you can send them all the return rules and all the information we already have available, but nobody searches for. That's just the honest truth.
Because what are the most frequently asked questions you receive? What do you think they are around refunding?
Can I return this? And then a photo with a product that's been worn 10 times, for example. That's one thing. And then
He did that once.
and then once a return is on its way, it's when do I get my refund? When do I get my money back? So
about the money.
Yeah.
Questions about the money. Yeah.
Of course.
How are you dealing with those tickets? Because they call to your support.
They mainly email, and then I mean, again, we have a very extensive database of support articles. And then it's an automated process. Because all the information is there. They can follow up the where their return is and what stage it's still on its way. It's not delivered yet. It's delivered, but we didn't check it, for example. So they have multiple status updates. So normally they should be able to know when it's going to be processed. So they should be able to follow up that very transparently.
Because moving to you, Karel, how do you think you can reduce those customer support tickets? What are good things to do looking at that? If somebody clicked on returning and then what? How can you reduce that?
Of course, good process. I think the customer service part, having a customer service platform in place that connects to your return solution and integrates very well makes a lot of sense. I know you guys are using Zendesk or Freshdesk now. There's also Gorgeous. There's a lot of solutions in the market, and it's interesting to see how they are gonna evolve. And are they also gonna look into returns? Because most of them is going through the return process, is going through customer service, and automating it with maybe artificial intelligence. Maybe not today yet, a lot, but might in the future become more and more a big part of it. So very curious to see how that type of platform that we see where customers, clients, brands gain a lot of time by optimizing them, and where we see a big help is, or where we can help a lot is, people have a customer service platform, but they're not using it efficiently. And I think there we can provide guidance. Connect this and this, and then a customer service agent can see the customer, his order. If he wants to have a return, is he still valid? Create a return label from the customer service platform. So there's a lot of possibilities.
I think that's very in line with the advice we also give from Sendcloud. Just take a look at your customer service, right? And just outline the most common and frequently asked questions and tickets you have. And make a connection and workflow with the return event, right? That's connected to that. And that one of the biggest return events is indeed when can I expect my refund? Where is the return, right? That's also a bit fake if you don't communicate that. And that's a very nice way to use your customer support platform to automate those tickets, right? To build a workflow where you say, hey, if X happens, then we automate and send out message Y. So I think that's very impactful to do. How do you calculate this? Because is it that easy to say like, hey, if we spend X minutes and X time, then I can save 1 FTE, or how do you look at that, and how many do you think Bouncewear is saving by automating that digital return process?
Well, I think at least one full-time employee, and the main thing now is because we want to make it easy for a consumer. If they're based in France, they're gonna return the product to a France location. The same with Spain and Belgium, etc. And now because we can easily follow up, the status of every return. It makes it just way easier for us, and the automation built in with like Karel mentioned, Freshdesk, what we use as a customer support portal, makes it easier to respond. And I think the main thing that people are looking for is let's say an actual response to their question, and not an AI or whatsoever. It might work,
but a real agent.
Yeah, like a real agent who's responding, saying, "Hey, your product's not delivered yet, but if it comes in 1 or 2 days, we're going to handle it as soon as possible." That type of stuff that changes the expectation of the consumer already, because they know, okay, they're handling it and they're on top of it. And that shifts their mindset a little bit. And it's different for us because we're let's say smaller retailer. We're not Nike or Wecamp like you mentioned in the beginning, where it doesn't really matter how products are returned, etc. And for us, it's important that we keep our margin a little bit.
So you, with a digital return solution, you save 1 FTE per month. That's the easy math you can make.
Yeah, I mean it's a guess, but I think it's very close to the truth.
Is that also some advice you gave from like a Shopify expert, an e-commerce expert position, that you say you always have to take a look at return on investment? Or
it's always, you don't have to do it always. But I think Bouncewear does very well is today we're always looking at unified commerce, connecting all the data points, and they do it pretty well because you can order something online. You can ask a question to the customer service agent, but you can also step into the store and they're able to handle it. You can do a return everywhere, online or in store, and that's where a lot of brands fail. And there's also a lot of frustration on customers. There's nothing more frustrating for a customer to buying something online. You know you're gonna be in the city next weekend. Oh, it's not my fit. I'm going to the store, and they say, "Oh no, sorry, we can take it. You need to buy it online." I think this is one of the key frustrations that we all have experienced sometimes. Maybe fixing that will also save a lot of time in your organization and your processes.
Yeah, fair point. If we sum this all up, does it start with looking from like a customer perspective, like where are the frustrations and expectations, or is that more from like an internal view where you say, okay, how many money and time and tickets do we have, and how can we reduce that? To start with you, maybe where would you start, or where did you start at Bouncewear to optimize this return process?
Well, I think looking to educate the consumer, just trying to avoid return if it's not necessary. Just give us as much information as we can to, like I said, emulate whatever we do in store to our online business as well. I think we can still implement some extra steps there. That's one thing, and the customer reviews that inform about fit and the width of a shoe, for example, that help out as well. Making sure that's very clear that you pay for a return unless we mess up somehow. Just try to inform the consumer as much as possible upfront, and then making sure that you have the technology to make it a smooth process. And that's how we evolved over time. And I think we're now in a situation where we feel that it's okay for us how we handle it. It's okay for the consumer. I know that we might cut a little bit in the conversion percentage with the paid returns.
Yeah, you think that reflects on conversion in the end.
Yeah, in some kind of way, for
Yeah.
sure. But at least we don't see, let's say, the happy shopper just shopping everywhere and then sending everything back.
Yeah, in the end, a customer with a high frequency of returns is also not very profitable. So
No.
you rather have people that really like the brand and buy the shoe because
Yeah.
they also really
Mm.
want it, right? Instead
Yeah,
of
and
like
then
the
inform
fitting
them.
room shoppers.
Yeah, exactly. And then just make sure that they're informed on how the sizing is and trying to avoid a return if we can.
Yeah. So you would advise like start more from like a customer perspective, satisfaction. Where's the frustration? Then look at the tech stack, and then maybe more like, okay, then we're gonna make a calculation on the return on investment on FTE or operational level. Where would you start to give a tip or a tip of the sleeve?
I would look at the industry benchmarks. Where are you in retail? Are you in luxury? Are you in home accessories?
Yeah.
What's the industry average? Is it between 3 and 5%? Is it 20%, 30%? Fast fashion, 30, 40%?
Yeah.
And what's your return rate? And is it on the same level? Then you're probably doing a good job on the front end, on the user information side. If not, then there's an issue with the quality of your product, or you're not informing them very well. Then we can look into those two and getting the number of the returns down. Do some questionnaires. Why are you returning this? Implement that and learn from the data you get. And only then take actions based on the insights you get.
So it starts with a proper analysis of your customer, but also the market and the profile of your brand.
Yeah, indeed. We had one clothing brand. They were different and their sizing was 8, 10, 12, 14. Nobody knows what this means in like normal. Is it 36, 38? They had a lot of returns on sizes. Okay, and then we implement the sizing tool, sizing advice where you can, and then it makes sense. Returns go down, just pure information, what Jeroen also said.
Yeah.
That's an easy one to fix.
Yeah.
If the quality of the product isn't good, it's another issue.
Yeah.
But I think the data will give you a lot of learnings, and sometimes it doesn't have to cost a lot.
Yeah. Hey, and guys, to close this topic off, what was for you the biggest eye opener, and what do you think is the biggest game changer for the upcoming months?
Well, I'm curious to see what's going to be new out there. I mean, Karel mentioned it briefly that it might be something that AI might take over a little bit. So I'm curious to see on just more automations on this part and just lowering the actual hands-on part that's still needed when it comes to returns.
Yeah, and AI, you mean that in the return process, AI already suggests a different product or a different size, or
for example, so on that part, like before the return is actually set, and then once the process
before the return is set.
I mean, when somebody's, let's say, applying for a return, that you can, let's say, push or help the consumer navigate a little bit and push it in the way that you think is best for your company, like a new product or store credit, for example, because then they stay a loyal customer. That's one thing, but also in the follow-up of that, I mean, like I said, we send status updates, but if a question arises, that you can answer them automatically, for example, that you don't have to manually push a refund button, but that's how it goes now. So that stuff like that just becomes even easier, because it's, I mean, the process of how return evolves is very transparent. You receive it in time. There's decision made on store credit, on refund, on whatsoever. The only thing that you still need to do is check the product if it's good, and if it's good, then that's it.
Is this already on the market, Kyle?
Nope, it's not yet.
And new ideas can born.
Indeed. Makes a lot of sense that what you want to do, the fair usage thing we discussed about, for example, when do you want the customer to pay for his return, and when does he get a free return? You can define rules, but maybe AI can make a bigger story or think more intelligent about the user interaction, the cost of the goods, and make a good decision based on that. If the order volume is only 30 euros, do you want to return, or do you want to have them like, okay, you can still keep the product because we don't want it back, we can't resell it, costs too much to get it back. So there's things like based on all those factors, make the right decision for that customer. Could be something interesting.
Did you ever came across a brand where they say, hey, if people don't return, instead of like, we're always thinking from like a punishment way of treating customers, right? If you do this, then this is the consequence. You can also say like, hey, if loyal customers don't refund, they get rewarded, right?
We've seen it with tableware, etc. If it's damaged and they take a picture and like small damage, they can keep the product because you can't resell it. You don't want to ship it back. So there's a use case where it makes sense that you can say you can keep it. Of course, if it happens too much or it's something you feel that there's fraud going on, you want to get the item back. But I think there's for example why it would make sense to let the customer keep the product.
Is it something you thought about as well?
Thought about
in the Bounce Club community.
I mean, the Bounce Club is something to reward loyal customers. It's more about VIP access and early access to sales and events and whatnot. But I think what we tend to do is a little bit different. So even if, let's say, a defective product, if somebody really wants to exchange it because it's a shoe that's not playable anymore, then if we receive it back, we collect them and we always ship them to one of the initiatives we support. Might be the basketball school in Senegal. We have a project going on in Haiti where they actually receive the shoes and they repair them and they get, let's say, a new life, which is something that we think is very important as well, because otherwise it's just trash. And
that's something to consider as a brand, how you can restart those products that come back, right? Because indeed, sustainability, what you said in the beginning, becomes more and more important for customers, but also for brands. And I think that the total waste we have currently, I think Vinted is exploding, but I was reading an article that they only do maybe 0.5% of all the waste that there is. So there's more waste that we can handle as an earth. So
I think we can have a follow-up session on the circular economy and e-commerce.
Let's do that.
I think some brands are doing a very good job in repairing stuff themselves. Bigger than us, obviously, and they have a team in place, and their main focus is the green world and sustainability, etc. But I mean, I think that's something that a lot of brands are gonna consider in the upcoming years. Sure. Perfect.
I want to finish up with one last question. International returning. What is your number one tip?
Make it as smooth as possible for the consumer. I think that's the major thing.
For you?
Get your tax documents in order.
The commercial invoicing.
If you want to recuperate the tax because that you paid, duties, stuff like that.
If you want to recover them, in the ass.
And if you don't have the documents, it's not happening.
Screwed. Thanks, guys, for having you. Thanks for sharing all the insights. Good to hear both perspectives. I think one of the lessons is that it all starts with who is your customer, having an insight, but also be very straightforward, right? I think we are done with the years where we say like, oh, you can return it in 200 days. No, straightforward, short return periods, paid, but give them flexibility, right? And I think also look at how you can reward customers that don't return. And using local heroes in countries can be very essential to, I think, save money in the operations, but also to enlighten customer satisfaction. Well done, guys. Thanks, home audience, for watching this studio session at Sendcloud headquarters about Return Gameplan, and I will see you next time.